Heed well my words, for I am Mentor, guardian of Lore Tome. I will tell you of times past, of darker days when the Empire was saved against all hope, for I fear the darkness is about to return. The sinister forces of Zargon, the evil sorcerer, have swept all before them. At the sight of the Black Banner and the massed hordes of chaos, even the bravest warriors of the Emperor had fled. The land was laid to waste and all men despaired. Then came a mighty warrior prince from the borderlands, Rogar the Barbarian. He bore a glittering diamond on his brow, the star of the west. Hope returned, and the men flocked to his standard, leaving their hiding places in the hills and forests. Other great heroes joined him. Durgan, the fearless dwarven warrior from the World's Edge Mountains. Ladril, the elven fighter mage from distant Athelorn. And Telor the wizard, whose sorcery was to save Rogar on many occasions. For many years, Rogar trained his army, being careful to avoid open battle with Zargon's general until all was ready. He even harried the Chaos supply lines and wiped out countless orcs and goblins. Then came the day for which Rogar had waited. His army had grown strong, and he was well practiced. Camping in the high passes, Ladril saw the black hosts from afar, and bade Durgan blow the call to arms on his mighty horn. Rogar's army poured down upon the enemy from two sides, and battle was joined. Many foul creatures and good men perished that day. Yet as the light of the day faded, it was darkness that fled the field. But the victory was not absolute. Zargon and his general escaped beyond the Sea of Claws, and even now they plot their revenge. Soon their plots will be ready, and the Empire will have need of a new Rogar. But where are the heroes to equal him? You have much to learn if you are to become as great as Rogar and his companions. I will help all that I can. The book I protect, Lore Tome, was written when time began. All that ever was and all that will ever be is recorded in its countless pages. Through Lore Tome I may guide you, but I may not intervene, lest a great evil befall the world, and the evil forces of chaos triumph forever.
Now, in HeroQuest, a party consists of 2 to 4 players and Zargon, and each player chooses a character to play while the one player plays Zargon. And Zargon kind of acts as the dungeon master in the game, setting up and placing items on the board, springing traps, moving opponents, and rolling combat die for the monsters when they are encountered. Players sit around the table and they take their turns in a clockwise fashion, while Zargon always occupies the last seat and takes the last turn. There are 4 characters that a player can play: the Barbarian, the Dwarf, the Elf, and the Wizard. And each character has different attacks and defenses, and most have some sort of special ability. The Barbarian has a wide choice of weapons, the Dwarf has the special ability to disarm traps, and the Elf has the ability to take 3 spell cards from a single spell group to use in the dungeon. And finally, the Wizard has 9 spells of their choice from 3 spell groups. Now, during an adventure, spellcasters can carry duplicate spells, and these are represented by spell cards in their inventory. Now, to make up for his powerful spells, the Wizard is handicapped by only being able to use a limited number of weapons and has an inability to use armor or shields. Now, in every player turn, they can take an action and move. And though they can reverse the order of this, they can't take a double action or a double move. And actions include attacking, casting spells, searching for treasure, secret doors, or traps, and finally disarming traps. Now, to move, players roll 2d6, and they can move their character up to that number of squares, and it costs only 1 movement point to move 1 square. Now, movement is always vertical or horizontal, and diagonal moves are not allowed. Also, characters cannot move through squares occupied by monsters or that contain walls. They can move through doors, and they can also move through squares occupied by other characters. This is something I often get wrong on my playthroughs. But however, characters cannot stop on a square with a friendly character in it, unless they're on a staircase or in a pit trap. Spellcasters, which include the Wizard and the Elf, can perform a spell as an action, and to do so they have to have the recipient of the spell within their line of sight. And if the player can draw an unobstructed line from the center of the square they occupy to the center of the square that they're targeting, then the recipient is considered to be in line of sight. And remember that walls, doors, other characters, and monsters can block this line of sight. Now, once a spell is cast, the spell card is removed from the character's inventory for that adventure. There are several things that characters can freely do during a turn that are not counted as actions, and these include drinking potions, picking items up, getting caught in traps, opening doors, and peeking into rooms. And note that all doors in the dungeon are considered closed until the characters open them. Now, when a character peeks into a room or a hallway, Zargon then places the monsters, treasure chest, and furniture in the room. However, secret doors and traps are not placed in the room, as they have to be revealed through searching or activating. And if the character peeks into a room, any activated monsters can begin their movements or actions. As an action, characters can attack any monster that they're adjacent to. And adjacent squares are those that are in line vertically or horizontally. Now, diagonal squares can only be attacked with certain special weapons. To attack, the player rolls the number of attack die equal to the attack die of their weapon. A character can only attack once per turn and may only use one weapon at a time. So at the beginning of the game, the barbarian starts with a broadsword, which has 3 attack dice. The dwarf and the elf start with short swords, which have 2 attack die. And the wizard starts with a dagger, which has 1 attack die. And to attack, the player rolls the appropriate number of attack die, and any skulls rolled count as hits. Zargon then consults the monster defense die from the monster card and rolls the appropriate number of die. And every black shield that Zargon rolls nullifies a successful hit by the heroes. Say, for example, a barbarian rolls 3 dice and gets 2 skulls when attacking an orc. Zargon would roll the orc's defense of 2 dice. If Zargon rolled 1 black shield, this would nullify one of the barbarian's 2 hits on the orc. However, since the orc only has 1 body point, the other damage point would kill it. The dungeons the party explores are, of course, filled with treasure. And as an action, a character can search for treasure in a room, though they can only do this once per room. So when a character searches for treasure in a room, they either get the treasure indicated for that particular room in the adventure guide. If there's no treasure preset, they draw from the treasure deck. If the card drawn is a treasure, the character keeps it, and it's not returned to the deck until the next adventure. And if the card indicates a monster, then the specific type of monster for that adventure is placed next to the adventurer that drew the card. And of course, that monster begins to attack. Combat then occurs as normal, and once the monster is defeated, the random monster card is shuffled back into the random treasure deck. Now, secret doors can only be searched for if the character takes a turn to do the search, and no monsters can be within sight. If the character indicates that they're searching, Zargon places a secret door tile at the appropriate place, and it's not considered open until the characters then move next to it. There are 4 kinds of traps in the game: pits, falling blocks, spears, and chest/furniture traps. Now, characters cannot see these, but the adventure guide indicates to Zargon where they're at. And if a character moves into a square with anything but a furniture trap, they receive the effects of that trap. Now, the furniture/chest traps are activated when a character interacts with that particular chest or piece of furniture. To search for traps, the character has to take the search as an action. Zargon then tells them which square the trap is located in, but does not tell them what type of trap it is. The character can then take a turn to either jump over or disarm the trap. And note that characters must be in the room to search or disarm a trap. If a trap's on the other side of a door when the character moves in, they'll trigger the trap, and this makes traps kind of tricky. If a character triggers a pit trap, they fall into a hole in the floor and they take a body point of damage. They can then search the pit for treasure or secret doors, just as if the pit were a room, and a random monster can be lurking at the bottom of the pit if a random monster card is drawn. Then the characters and monsters in the pit fight each other. Now, characters and monsters fighting in a pit roll 1 less combat die when they're attacking. It takes a turn to climb out of a pit, and pit traps can be disarmed if the character is a dwarf or they have a toolkit. It takes 1 turn to disarm a pit trap, and the character with the toolkit rolls 1 dice. If the result's a skull, the character springs the trap and takes the damage. Anything else renders the trap harmless. Dwarves follow the same procedure, but only the roll of a black shield causes the trap to be sprung and for the dwarf to fall in and take damage. Now, to jump a trap, a character has to have at least 2 squares of movement remaining, and they roll a die. And if they get a skull, they fall into the trap and take damage. Now, pit traps remain even after they're sprung, and they have to be jumped over to be crossed. Falling block traps function much like pit traps, though they block a space from being crossed when they're sprung. And if a character springs a falling block trap, they have to roll 3 die, and they take a hit for each skull rolled. Spear traps also cause damage if the character rolls a skull on 1 die, but they don't affect movement in any way once they've been sprung. Now, furniture and chest traps have unique effects for each specific adventure, and they're detailed in Zargon's adventure guide. Now, eventually you're going to get around to Zargon's turn, and Zargon can move and perform actions, or vice versa, during his turn for all the activated monsters. Now, monsters only have 2 actions. They can cast spells, if applicable, or they can attack. Now, each monster has a movement rate as detailed on their monster card, and Zargon's free to move them in any way that he or she desires. Monsters attack just like heroes, with the number of skulls that they attack with indicated on the monster card, and the heroes then defend with the appropriate number of defense die, and every white shield that they roll nullifies a hit. Now, if a hero or monster is reduced to 0 body points, they die, and body points are never reduced below 0. Now, if they do reach 0, characters can immediately try to drink a healing potion if they have it, to restore themselves, or if they're spellcaster and have not performed an action that turn and have a healing spell, they can restore their hit points. If they fail to do any of these, they die. Now, also note that only the specific character can save themselves when their injury takes them to 0 body points. Another hero can't throw them a potion or cast a healing spell on them to save them from croaking. And if a character is killed and out of the quest line, their body can be looted by their friends, who can freely distribute the loot should they survive the adventure. Between quests, heroes regain their body and mind points, and also refill any spell slots that they have. They can also buy equipment at the armory with any gold that they've saved up, and the characters in a party are free to distribute and trade equipment and treasure in any way that they desire. Now, purchasing better items improves the character's attack and defense strength, and long weapons like the staff and longsword allow the characters to attack into diagonal spaces, and missile weapons like daggers and crossbows can be used to make distance attacks.
Okay, this is quest number 1, The Trial. You have learned well, my friends. Now has come the time of our first trial. You must first enter the catacombs which contain Felmarg's tomb. You must seek out and destroy Verag, a foul gargoyle who hides in the catacombs. This quest is not easy, and you must work together in order to survive. This is your first step on the road to becoming true heroes. Tread carefully, my friends.
So we're going to play quest 1, The Trial. Now, there's a few notes about the dungeon itself that I'm going to point out. First of all, there's no traps or secret doors in this quest, and all the heroes should know this. However, it's not an easy quest, and the characters have to work together in order to defeat the evil gargoyle. Now, in Area A, the weapons on the weapon rack are chipped, rusted, and broken, and there's nothing here that the heroes would want. Now, up in Area B, over here, there's a treasure chest, but it is empty. In Area C, the mummy is the guardian of Felmarg's tomb and was once a mighty warrior, and it rolls 4 dice instead of 3 dice when it attacks. At Area D, the first hero who searches for treasure will find 84 gold coins in this treasure chest. And finally, at Area E, the first hero who searches for treasure will find 120 gold coins in this treasure chest. Okay, let's get this set up, and I need to give everybody, I've gone ahead and given everybody their card with the armor on it, with the weapon on it, but we do need to give spells to the elf, who gets 3 spells, and for this game I'm going to go ahead and say the elf has the water sphere, so we need to find the game cards spells, and I'm going to make the elf a healer. So we're going to use 2 healings and a sleep spell. Actually, I'm going to make it 3 healings. Let's go ahead and discard that. Okay, and then the wizard has the other 3 areas that they can draw from, the other 3 elements. So we will get them some spells. I want some good offensive spells. So we've got Fire of Wrath, which does 1 body point of damage, but you have to roll a 5 or 6. And then we have Ball of Flame, which does 2 points of damage, and you roll 2 dice for a 5 or 6. Let's go with Ball of Flame, and I think they get 9 spells here. Let me double check the rules. Let's go over to the rule book here. Setup. Let's see, begin quests. Just got it over here. Choose your role. 9, okay. So 9 spells. I think I'll give him... I think we will keep... I need another heal. Heal really are kind of your saver thing here. Tempest or Swift Wind. I'm going to keep it up with the Fire of Wrath. 1, 2... So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and I will throw a Tempest in. Okay, so that should be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so the wizard has 9 spells. I think we are good to go now. So we're going to go ahead and start, and the barbarian will go first for 3. 1, 2, 3. Boy, he barely goes. Actually, we're going to move him aside. Then the dwarf will go. Oops. Dwarf gets 12. Okay. I'm going to move him just right outside the area here because we want the barbarian to go first. And I think what we'll do, let's just determine if they're going to go this way or this way. We'll just roll for it. So odd will be up to the west and north. Even will be to the east. 3. They go odd. Okay, so the dwarf will go here. And we will move him here, actually. And then the elf goes 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll move him out of the way. And then the wizard goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they're out of the way. That's the first round of movement. You can't move. Remember, you can't move horizontal or diagonally. So now then, the barbarian will go 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll move our dwarf. 7. Oh, he can't move. Okay, the dwarf will just stay put. Elf will go 5. 3, 4, 5, and then the 6 for the wizard. And that's the end of that turn. Okay, and then the barbarian will go 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll stay right there. We'll go 8 with the elf. We'll go, and we'll just have the elf go second here. 5 with the, well, the dwarf would be next, and then we'll do the wizard. I kind of like to keep the dwarf back a little bit so that he can he's kind of a backup in battle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it for that turn. Now, Zargon would normally be able to move these guys around, but since I'm playing at solitaire, I'm just going to pretend that, just like the old dungeon crawlers, the monsters just stay put until the characters creep up on them. Okay, next turn, barbarian doesn't go. The elf does not go. The dwarf goes here, and the wizard goes here. Again, they won't move for a turn, and we'll just move the dwarf up. Okay, now everybody's in position to bust in this room, so we're going to say our barbarian busts in, and he has to stop here because he's now in the zone of control of the monsters. This game does not handle zones of control real well, so maybe we can in later sessions we may house rule that somehow. I'll think about that. Okay, we have our first combat of the game. We've got a barbarian, and he comes into a room, and it looks like it's a torture room. And inside is a goblin and an orc preparing to torture somebody, probably the barbarian if they can capture him. So the barbarian takes his swing with his mighty axe, or actually he doesn't have an axe. He has a short sword, long sword. Let's see what he's got. We're going to pull up our... Where's our thing? Ah, here we go. Our barbarian has a broadsword. Okay, he doesn't have a longsword. He just has a broadsword. And he can do 3 attack dice versus damage. So down here in the corner, we're going to run our 3. And we get a shield, and an evil shield. So none of those will do damage. Okay. We'll move I'm going to keep everybody else in place. If the barbarian has to sneak out, we're going to go ahead and leave an opening here. But Zargon's going to move the orc forward because diagonals are not in, unless they can attack diagonally, diagonals are not in the area that you can attack from. So we'll then let the goblin go. So we need to check our monster card, and goblins have an attack dice of 2. Okay, so he gets 2 hits. Now the barbarian has to defend, and the barbarian has 2 defenses, so he goes. So the barbarian gets 1 shield, so that means he defends 1 point, but the goblin slips another point of damage in. So we're going to change the BP to 7. Okay. And then the orc can go, and the orc has an attack of 3 dice. Okay, so he gets 1 skull. And again, the barbarian's going to try to go and see. Oh, barbarian got 2 skulls, so he didn't get a shield, so he gets 2 more hits, or 1 hit. 1 hit, I'm sorry. So he's now at 6. Okay. And that takes us to the next turn. And the next turn, the barbarian will go. I think he'll try to squash that orc first. So he goes against the orc, rolls his 3. Not that 3. These 3. Gets a hit against the orc. Now the orc has a defense of 2 dice. So we'll roll 2. Oh, nothing. Okay. So that's enough. The orc had 1 hit point. So that's it for the orc. Okay. Now the other characters will stay put, and the goblin will go. Goblin has attack of 2. Nothing. Okay. End of turn. We go to the next turn. The barbarian will go again. Gets 2 hits. The goblin defends at 1. Doesn't get anything. So now the goblin has 1 hit point and takes a hit point of damage. So that destroys the goblin. Okay. Now there's nothing listed in this room that's preset. So we have to draw a game card and see if there's anything in here. Let's see here. Not a game card. A draw card. Here we go. Up at the top. Draw a treasure card. And we draw a treasure. Let's see what it is. Jewels. Okay. So you find a small wooden box. It's simple looking and very old. And within you discover that it's lined with velvet and contains very small jewels worth 50 gold coins. And then you can record the money on your sheet. I'm going to go ahead and just to make this easy, I'm going to play the barbarian's inventory. We're just going to stick it over here. And then at the end of the game, we'll put the gold into our little box here. You can see up here there's a little treasure box, and then we can put the cards back. But we'll leave them outside of the card deck for now because that affects the number of wandering monster encounters that happen. Okay. He's done looking around. He's got 6 hit points. We really need to get down below, gosh, how many? The barbarian has 8 hit points, so we really don't want to cast a heal spell until he gets below 4, so we don't waste points. So, okay, barbarian gets to go again. He moves and gets a 9. And he could go up here, but we're going to say he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we will just try this door. And then the rest of the guys, I tell you what, with these guys, I'm not going to roll. If it's like, well, let's go ahead and roll it just to show you guys how. Later in the game, I may just move these guys because I do think the rolling thing gets a little tiresome. Obviously, that's kind of a sign of the times when this came out. And like a lot of the Ameritrash games, it's got that kind of roll and move kind of dynamic, but I don't know, I still love these games, and this one is really a classic. Okay, so now they're in position to fight again. So the barbarian again will bust through the door. What's his movement? 8. Okay, easily moves in. And I'm going to move him here. Actually, we're going to move him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just move him right up here because I want to spread out the fighting. Okay, now the elf moves. Now the elf gets a 7. So here's where movement is, I guess, works. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Wizard will move. 11. Okay, so he easily moves here. I'm going to put him right in here where he can heal, guys. And then we'll move the dwarf in. 4. Okay, the dwarf waddles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't make it. Okay, and I moved these guys. I should have... The way this works is each individual moves and fights. And I went ahead and moved the whole party, and I shouldn't have done that. So that's okay. We'll go back and pick it up here with the barbarian. Now, the barbarian this time is fighting a goblin. And he gets his 3 again. So he gets a point. Now, the goblin has a defense of 1. So the goblin doesn't make any defense. So he's destroyed. He only had a hit point. Okay, then the elf goes. Now, the elf has 2 attack dice. And doesn't do anything. Dwarf can't do anything. I think I'll hold off on doing anything with my wizard. So now we have the goblin fighting the elf. So the goblin gets a attack of 2. So he did get a hit through, and the elf has a defense of 2. So okay, oh, the elf blocks because of those 2. You can see the 2 shields down here. And then we go to the next turn. Okay, barbarian moves into place here, and he's going to do an attack again. So he gets 3. He got 3 hits. That should easily do it. So that easily destroys the goblin. And I'm going to say the elf searches the room. Oh, there's a weird-looking table here, but unfortunately, let's see what's on it. So he draws. There is a wandering monster on it. Okay, and the wandering monster in this game is a orc. Okay, we can see it down here, an orc. Okay, so we will return that to the treasure deck, and we will place an orc in here. So let's find the pieces. And monsters. Let's go here. Ah, come on. This is a beautifully done Vassal module, by the way. Okay, we're going to place... I'm going to place this guy... Since Zargon is placing him, I'm going to place him over here where he can do some damage. And he's going to try to attack the elf. Oh, wait. Okay. The elf was 3rd. So the orc or the dwarf hasn't got to go. So I can say the dwarf can go. And the dwarf is going to fight because Zargon goes last. So even though we've placed the wandering monster, the dwarf gets to go first. Okay, dwarf has a 2. Dwarves are not real powerful in this. I guess because they're short. Okay, dwarf gets a 2. And an orc defends at 2. And the orc is unable to defend and only has a hit point. So they're destroyed now. And that is the end of that combat. You don't pull for another treasure at this point. Okay, everybody's just kind of standing around. I guess I'll move to the next room. So, I guess our barbarian could go busting through this door. He's reckless. He's just going to go ahead and bust through the door. Let's see what he rolls. Yeah, he gets enough. So he busts through and he has to stop because there is a skeleton on the other side of the door. And the barbarian goes with 3. He gets 2 hits. And a skeleton defends at 2. Doesn't do anything. So the skeleton flies apart. Okay, then we'll say the... I just rolled all 3 because they can't go much farther, and they rolled high enough that they could go up here and go into place. Okay, skeleton goes. He's going to move into place. And he moves into place. Skeletons have a attack of 2. Does 1 hit, and our barbarian defends at 2, so... Nope, barbarian doesn't. So barbarian doesn't defend. So barbarian takes a point of damage. Okay, they're now at 5. And this is your usual battle of attrition here. Barbarian's going to go with 3. Ah, nothing. Okay, nobody else is going to do anything. I guess the mage could try to heal, but we want to go down a little more on the barbarian. So it's the skeleton's turn. Skeleton had 2, makes a hit. Barbarian defends at 2, gets that shield, so he defends. Okay, we move into the next turn. And the barbarian goes again with a 3. Doesn't do anything. 3 shields. Okay. Skeleton goes with 2. Nothing. Okay, next turn. Barbarian gets 2 hits. Skeleton can defend at 2 and does not, so the skeleton goes flying apart, leaving the room empty. However, there might be some sort of treasure in it. So the barbarian's going to go ahead and try to draw the treasure card. Actually, he's going to move around a little bit, and he's not going to draw the treasure card. The elf will come in, the dwarf will come in, and the mage will come in. And the mage will come in and draw a treasure card. A hazard. Okay, suddenly the stone beneath the mage's feet gives way. He falls into a shallow hole, losing 1 body point and ending the turn. They can climb out, move normally on the next turn, and we return this to the deck. Okay, so the mage took a point of damage. So we change the BP to 3. And that's the end of turn. Okay. Gonad the Barbarian will try to move in. And 5. So yeah, bust through the door again. Actually, we're going to peek. We're going to open the door and stand right here and see what happens. Because Gonad is starting to figure stuff out here. And he finds that these guys, he peeks in, but he's going to stay put. And we're going to say the mummy comes forward. Okay, and mummy comes forward and attacks. Let's go to our monster card. And a mummy attacks with 3 dice. And does a hit. Okay. Barbarian, Gonad the Barbarian goes to defend and gets a shield, so he's able to do it. Okay. Into that turn. Gonad's going to attack the mummy. It's 1 point, and a mummy defends at 4. Oh, mummy didn't get any. You don't see the black shield, so the mummy takes a point of damage. Whoops. Edit undo. Let's bring back the mummy. Let's change the BPs to 1 here. There we go. Hopefully that you can see a little better. I do have a tendency to make things a little too small. I guess it's weird. We can see now that the characters, you can just have the top half of them. Oh, I think we're looking down at the top, down. So, okay. Where was I? Okay, the mummy gets to go. La Mumia attacks with 3, gets a point, and the barbarian defends at 2, and does not make it. So, change BP to 4. Okay, go to the next turn, and in this turn, going to move him up. Oh, we're going to go. The barbarian will fight again with 3. Gets 2 points. And the mummy. Let's see. The mummy's defending at 4. Nothing. Okay, that gets rid of the mummy. The mummy did not defend. So we destroy that monster. Then the next person to go, since the barbarian just went, the next person will be the elf. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to go into the elf's inventory. And the elf is going to use a water of healing to cure 4 points. So just discard that card. And going to cast that on the barbarian. We're going to change the barbarian from 4 to 8 on body points. And heal him up. And then a zombie's going to go 1, 2, brains. I don't think the zombie, I think they can move 2. How much can a zombie move? Zombies can move 5. Okay. So yeah, no problem there. So zombie moves and attacks. And a zombie has 2 attack dice. Hits the barbarian for 1. The barbarian defends and defends fine. He gets 2 shields. So end of turn. Okay, next turn. Barbarian goes. 3 against the zombie. Hits for 1. And a zombie defends at 3. Oh, so 1 and the zombie did defend. So no points on the zombie. Zombie's going to go with the attack dice of 2. Hits for 1. Barbarian defends. Nothing. Okay, Barbarian takes a point of damage. To 7. Okay. Barbarian will go again with 3. 3 hits. Zombie defends at 3. Nothing. Okay, zombie's gone. And that's the end of that turn. Oh, okay, then another zombie's going to move into place. We're going to say they just move towards a target and attack. Zombie gets to go with an attack of 2. Hits for 1. The Barbarian defends at 2 and defends handily. We go to the next turn, and the Barbarian attacks for 1. The zombie defends. Nothing. Okay, that gets rid of the zombie. And they move into this room. It's an odd-looking room here with a red floor. And we'll let everybody come in. I can roll, but they'll eventually get there. So we're just going to forgo that and move these guys into place. And we're going to say we let a round go. And then finally the dwarf will do the searching, because dwarves are kind of the thieves of this game. And so the dwarf searches. We draw a potion of healing. It's a small bundle of rags with a bluish potion in it. And how much does it heal? Let's see. Restoring the number of body points equal to a roll of 1 red dice. Okay, so we're going to throw that in the dwarf's inventory. And as an action, I will let these guys pass stuff around in battle. But that will be their action. Okay, we've got everybody's still doing pretty well. Barbarian will go first, and dwarf will be here and here. I want to give him a little bit of, I want the guy in the front being able to move back a little bit. So, okay, he opens the door, doesn't do anything, and that seemed to work last time. So we'll just go with open the door and let him come to us. He peeks in. He sees a skeleton, another skeleton, and this mummy. Now this is a special mummy. He's a real badass mummy. So, and inside it's the tomb. We'll say the mummy pops out of the tomb. There's a good treasure chest here. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good room to get. So we're going to let this skeleton attack first. Now, skeletons have an attack of 2. He does a hit, and the barbarian can try to defend. Oh, nothing. So barbarian loses a point. So Gonad is to 6. I guess I need to name my heroes here. Hopefully in the next turn I'll figure out some good names other than Gonad the Barbarian. But okay, that was the turn. Gonad goes against the skeleton, does 1 damage, and a skeleton defends at 2. Nope, skeleton didn't defend, so skeleton's destroyed. Okay, next round, skeletons will go. He's going to mindlessly move in and get slaughtered. And Gonad is going... Oh, skeleton gets to go first. 2 dice to attack. Doesn't do anything. Now Gonad gets to go. Does 2 damage. And the skeleton defends at 2. Nothing. So skeleton's unable to defend and is destroyed. But then the mummy comes into place. Now this mummy has... Normally mummies would have an attack of 3, but this one has an attack of 4. And he's going to try to use it. So he gets 2 points on Gonad. Gonad defends, and defends at 1. So Gonad takes a point. We'll change the BPs to 5. Okay. And... we go to next turn. Okay, next turn, Gonad will again attack the mummy. Does a point, and the mummies defend at 4. So they get that defense. Okay. I'm going to say the mage moves into place here. And I think we're going to throw a spell at that mummy. He's going to be kind of tough. So the wizard is going to do a ball of flame. at the mummy. He's going to fire it diagonally through that door. And a ball of flame inflicts 2 body points. But the monster gets to roll 2 red dice. Basically, a monster rolls a saving throw. And if they get a 5 or 6, it's a saving throw. No, nothing. So the monster takes 2 points. That is enough to... I guess that makes sense. You know, the mummy's on fire. And he dies. Okay. And we are going to discard that spell. These guys will stand around, and we will move back in the room. And the dwarf will check out that chest. And he checks the chest out and gets 84 gold. And at the end of the game, you can distribute the gold around if you want. So we'll go to the dwarf inventory and give him 84 gold. Okay. And a potion of healing. He's doing pretty good. And that ends that combat. Okay. Now they got to go back out the way they came, and I could sit there and roll all that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to run them here. Roll my dwarf here, my elf. Or that's my elf. I'll keep my elf in the back there. And I'm going to decide, am I going to go open this door, or am I going to come around here and explore this? And I got a door here and a door here. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3. We're going to go 1, 2 here on a roll, 3, 4 here, and 5, 6 here. Let's see what we do. Oop. I lost my little... Where is my dice? There it is. Okay. We roll a 1, and it's a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to come around here. And we're just going to march them around here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. And like I say, I'm going to... Okay, Gonad opens the door, and these guys all come pouring out. He sees a bunch of nasty dudes here. Okay, who's going to go first? I think it's Zargon. I'm going to make the Chaos Lord go first. And they're just going to march in a little conga line. That's the downside to this game. You can see things have changed a lot over the years, but I don't know. I still kind of like the dumb monsters in a conga line fighting the characters. It's not very realistic, but this is a fantasy game. Okay, the Chaos Lord gets to go since Gonad opened the door. And Chaos Warrior has an attack of 4. Does 2 of damage on Gonad. Gonad's going to try to save. Doesn't. So Gonad takes 2. Change P to 4, 3. Oh, he needs some saving. Okay. Then we'll go to the next turn, and Gonad will fight back. Does 2 points of damage, and the Chaos Warrior has a defense of 4. Okay. Oh, nothing. Okay. Change BP to 1. Okay. Then the Chaos Warrior can go. Let's see. Okay, Gonad went. Dwarfy went. I just realized something. This guy's in a bad position. So we went derp, and he's going to go 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to try to run around so he can help Gonad out. Okay, Gonad goes again with his 3. Does 3 damage. Well, Gonad, you might be doing fine. Okay. And the Chaos Warrior take 2 damage. It killed the Chaos Warrior. So, destroy him. Okay. Did I just get somebody out of line? Oh, okay. These guys. Okay. Then dwarf's going to stay put. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy will stay put. Can he fire a spell over the dwarf? I think he can. Let's see. I think we'll let the mage fire the spell across. Player's inventory, wizard's inventory, heal body, and discard. He will heal the gonad. The rules are a little short on that, so gonad has 7. Okay, I think the party has gone. Now we're going to send an orc in. 1, 2. This guy will go 1, 2, and this guy will go 1. Okay. The orc goes in and attacks gonad and does 2 points of damage. And then gonad tries to block, and he does. Okay. And that is the turn. Okay, now it's up to gonad to go against an orc. Does 2 points of damage to the orc. The orc defends it to nothing. Sends the orc back to orc hell. Okay, another orc will come marching into oh, got to move this guy. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to be a move. And I think the party's done their thing. Okay. We'll just use our little cannon fodder orcs to weaken them, and then we'll move our gargoyle into place. Okay, Mr. Orc has an attack of 3, does 2 damage. Gonad saves, nothing. Okay, Gonad takes 2 points of damage. 5, okay. End of turn. We'll move. We'll say that gargoyle moves in place. Okay, now end of turn. Okay, next turn. Gonad goes. Does 2 points of damage against an orc. Orc doesn't save, so the orc is destroyed. 10. Okay, this guy's going to move into place. The elf moves into place. Doesn't do much good right now. And then our gargoyle moves into place. Okay, gargoyles are kind of this is the boss battle. So they have an attack of 4, they defend at 5, and they have 3 body points. Okay, this is a problem. We should have moved our wizard into place. We need to move that dwarf. He is just in the way all the time. So, okay, gonad go. Or no, gargoyle goes. Gargoyle goes with an attack of 4. 2 points on gonad. Gonad saves for 1, but takes a point. And change that to 4. Okay. Into turn. Now we got gonad up again. 2 points of damage against the gargoyle. And the gargoyle has defense of 5. That's enough not to do any damage. Okay. Gargoyle goes. 3 points on gonad. Ooh. The barbarian has 3, has to save for 2. Oh, saves for 2. So barbarian takes a point of damage. And end of turn. Okay, next round. Barbarian does 1 damage. And the gargoyle does not save. So we change this to 2. The elf will probably do try to help the barbarian out a little bit here. So the elf is going to use a water of healing, bringing our barbarian back up from 3 plus 4 is 7. Okay. That's it for the party. Yeah, like I say, if we had the wizard here and the dwarf here, but they can't move around, then the wizard could throw a spell. Okay, the gargoyle goes. Ooh, 4 damage. Barbarian tries to save. Saves for 1, so takes 3 points of damage. Okay. End of turn. Now the barbarian will go again. Does 2 points of damage. Gargoyle tries to save. Does not save, and he kills the gargoyle. Okay, so they beat the boss. It was painful, but they beat the boss. I think we're going to go ahead and have the elf put a save on the throw a healing spell. They cast their spell. They discard the card. And the barbarian is back to 8. But we're out of healing spells. So barbarian will move into the room. Elf will move into the room. Dwarf will go over to the treasure chest. Wizard's watching. And the treasure chest contains 120 gold. There's not a lot of gold in this game, so let's go with our inventory for our dwarf. 120 plus 84 is going to be 204. Okay, there. And they basically found the room. There's a little place for the gargoyle to sit, a table, and a magic table. Okay, now the party. Are they going to keep going? I think what we're going to do with our party, we're going to come down here, go through this door, see what's over here. I think that's our next one. So we do that. Now we've learned our lesson that I want the dwarf away. The dwarf can guard the back. Okay. So they roll, and they eventually get here. And we're going to have the wizard on one side of the barbarian and the elf on the other. He opens the door, peeks in. Orc sees him. Orc says, "You die." So he goes in. Other orc moves. There's some old rusty weapons there. This is an old armory. And the orc gets to go. "You die, barbarian." Attacks with 3. Ooh, 3. So the gonad saves for 1, but he takes 2 points of damage. Ouch. So 6. Okay. End of turn. Now, barbarian will go. Does a point of damage. Orc has a defense of 2. Saves for that point. Okay. The elf doesn't have anything really to do but heal, and he's going to hold tight until barbarian gets below 6 hit points. But the wizard has some spells to burn. So let's let the wizard burn a spell. We'll start with a ball of flame. And the orc gets to roll a save or 2 points of save. Doesn't save on either one, so it sends the orc off to meet Grummish in the 9 hells. Okay, there's it. And we can discard that. Another orc moves into place. Doesn't do nothing. And that's the end of turn. Okay, barbarian gets to go. 2 points of damage. Dwarf tries to save. Doesn't do anything. Barbarian chops his head off. Okay. And they merrily walk into the room. We can roll, but we're not going to. And the dwarf goes over here. Rusty weapons. They ain't no good. There's another door. Let's see. This is on our way back, so we're going to do our little procedure here. Dwarf will stay over to the side. I don't want him too close where he's blocking movement. Gonad moves, busts the door open, peeks through. And you can peek and open doors for no activity, so I guess he could peek and move and fight, because there's a guy right there. And it's another orc. So he's going to fight. Die! 2 points of damage. Orc tries to defend at 2. And doesn't defend. So that's it for the orc. I really think this is actually a pretty clever little combat system. I kind of like the aspects of just a rolling for defense. Like I say, the biggest problem I see with the combat system is just like attacks of opportunity and things like that, how it handles that. But it's a pretty simple game. And at the time, this was pretty amazing with all the miniatures and everything. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. This orc's going to move into position and attack. Does 3 on Gonad. Gonad saves for 1. So Gonad takes 2 points of damage. Change BP to 4. Okay. I should have had him throw a spell in. Oh well, they hadn't moved into place. I guess they couldn't have. But you can see, you can get line of sight. If he's fighting at a corner like this, I say that you can have line of sight for spells. Now you'd need a longsword or a staff to fight diagonally, but you can't fight with a broadsword or dagger or anything. And the wizard has just a dagger right now, so I guess that's end of turn. Okay, let's see here. Gonad's going to go. 2 points of damage. Orc tries to defend, does not, and that sends the orc off. Okay. And everybody goes into this room. Okay. And looks like they've got a pool table. I think that's actually a desk. And there's a book here, but those don't really count because they're not listed. Those are just window dressing. But we can draw. Who's going to draw? I'm going to say the dwarf draws. No, I'm going to say the wizard draws. And, oh, wandering monster, which is an orc. So we're going to draw an orc, and the wizard, just this orc pops out of the table. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. I guess we'll say the orc gets to go. And he goes against the wizard. Ooh, 3 points of damage. Now the wizard has a defense of 2. Oh, and defends. Okay, so the wizard takes a point of damage. Okay, the barbarian gets to go against the orc and does 1 point of damage. The orc can defend at 2, which he does not, so that gets rid of the orc. Okay. And that room is now cleaned up. Now we're going to say they could go ahead and look for this room and this room over here, but I'm going to say they realize that discretion is the better part of valor. They've accomplished the mission, so we're going to send them back over here to the stairs. They go up the stairs, and they are out of there. And that, my friends, is the trial. So they actually did pretty well. I've played this in the past, and a lot of times they have a pretty hard time of it, but a lot of lucky rolls on the part of the party on this one, so they can do that. I think we'll go to the tavern and drink some ale. Inventory, are we going to switch around inventory? I don't think we need to. We can probably add 50 here. And like I say, I think that I let the party share inventory, so before they go back in on the next mission, they can buy things if they want. Discard card. The armory, you can see things are pretty expensive here. So like a tool kit to disarm traps is $250. Everything takes a little bit. So it's going to take 3 or 4 trips into a dungeon before you're going to be able to do anything. Anyway, that's what I've got. We will move on to the next dungeon in the next session. So I just kind of lost my train of thought. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye.